Tetoki is a kind of shortage from technology to the kids. It is a project I started a few years ago. It is a very simple project, and due of that it is really hard to define, like many simple projects. So, the Tetoki is a collection of short computer programs, let's say interactive miniatures, available online on the web page as a ready-made works, but also as a source code. And it's open source, so everybody can copy the source code and modify or change in any way he or she wants. I was using elements of Tetoki when I was teaching students basics of interaction, but also Tetoki was showed as an exhibition a few times, and Tetoki is especially addressed to young audience. All the works was created in young audience perception patterns in mind. So Tetoki is not a frozen piece of art. It is rather kind of process. You can be a part if you want to, on different levels. So you can just check the web page and to have some fun with the miniatures. But if you are interested in learning basics of interactive strategies or basics of programming in art, you can also be interested in Tetoki, because it is kind of guide how to do such things. And for me, Tetoki is also a kind of private research. In this project, I'm using code, computer programming code, as a common notation, common base for many methodologies, strategies, ideas from actually very different kind of art. Every miniature from Tetoki is a dialogue with important ideas from culture, art, or science, and all of them are treating computer code as a common language, a common base for that dialogue. Roots and clouds. You know, probably most of the people working on the field of digital media in art knows the famous sentence from Mackenzie work, we have no roots, but we have antennas. For me, that was never true. I really like Mackenzie work's text, but this sentence, I think, was not the best one from this author. So antennas probably better describes situation before digital culture, actually television-oriented culture from 60s or 70s. And of course we need the roots to make our actions. At roots is a different problem. Entire digital culture was strongly rooted in counterculture from 60s. Was strongly rooted from many fields of human activity, let's say in humanism, in entire humanism, even if that was treating with some kind of criticism, or there was a lot of tries how to recombine element of humanism in new form. So that's very good topic, very strongly connected issues. So this is not something like tradition versus future. The question is rather how to create a narration which will be strong from the historical point of view. I was lucky. I was in the group of artists visiting Sapporo before pandemics as a part of artistic research before a festival. So I was very excited to see the place, to meet the people, but also keeping in mind that on the final stage there will be my work showed during the SIAF. That was a very short visit, but I figured out that Sapporo is kind of microcosmos, because I can met several ethnic identities, people with very different backgrounds. So it is not one frame you can describe really easy. Sapporo is rather something which probably cannot be described in simple words and cannot be showed as a mathematical construction. You know, it's very organic phenomena. Of course, I was prepared for contact with Japanese culture and with Ainu culture, but thanks to a visit in University Museum in Sapporo, I met a really brilliant Korean artist, Hyunjun Park, and after a short discussion we decided also to make a work together with Hyunjun. And the second work I planned was also a cooperation with famous musician Oki Kano. So my general idea was to be a part of this multi-layered vision of Sapporo, not to keep my identity separate, but rather to create something together with other artists. But I also met many more really inspiring people, crazy geniuses from SIAF Lab, really changed my view on many elements of media art apparatus. But I met many more inspiring people during the visit. So for me, Sapporo is most of all the place when I met people with great ideas, changing my point of view, influencing my imagination. When I'm trying to figure out how pandemic time affect my work or my life, I think that it's really too early actually to find real factors. We are still diving in this situation, so actually probably we don't know how really pandemic changed us, our society, our habits. In my case, which is probably very typical, I was forced to work more from home, but from the other point of view, it is very typical behavior for artists. We have workshops or ateliers in our homes, and we are sitting there during pandemics or after pandemics. Probably nothing will change on that field. Of course, some projects I was working on was postponed or even cancelled due to pandemics, but from the other hand, I catch some time to prepare long-term projects, long-term activities, which are actually typically really hard to establish because you have too much, day-by-day activities. I also have one impression during quarantine. I was reading diaries of Charles Darwin, and he creates parts of his evolution theory actually during the pandemic, different, more dangerous probably, when he was on the bigger ship. So as we all know, the theory of evolution is one of the brightest, most important elements of science and our contemporary view of the nature. So probably also for us, pandemics is kind of the challenge, because we have to find something which is at least as important as Darwin's theory.